Yes, it's still me. I shaved, alright, and I washed my hair, so it might be a bit poofy. I think that's in the family genes, poofy hair. If you know my Uncle Mark and my sister, you get it. But anyway, as we move on with things, I told you I'm going to try some changes, so today's going to be one of those changes. Good morning, by the way. It's Sunday, for those of you who don't know. A while ago, my fiance gave me the hint of, instead of typing out with all the text that you see on the screen when I read, I started out typing all that out word by word from the Bible. So my fiance, the genius that she is, or I'm just that dumb, tells me, why don't you just look up verses online and then just copy and paste? They would have an NIV version that you can just copy and paste in. So then I changed that. I've been doing that for probably about the last month. And just today, shower thought, why don't I just read that? Instead of having my head down like this, talking to you with my hair, all right, with my Bible in an uncomfortable position, I'll just read it from the website that I get. I mean, I think that would work. I don't feel like that's cheating because it's the NIV, so the words are still the same, and it's the Bible. Trust me, I've checked multiple stories, chapters, all the words are the same. So I think it counts. But and then this way I get to look up instead of down. So you guys get to see my smiling face a little bit more. So we're going to try that today. First change, new year, new thing for the videos. All right, so we're finishing chapter 41. That's going to be the one bad thing, is that I'll forget like what chapter we're on because there's, so many verses. I'll have to like scroll up and down as I'm going. But anyway, we're finishing chapter 41. Coincidentally starting at verse 41. Ooh, I don't really want to restart this whole thing, so let me change the verses really quick. I forgot to do that. I was so excited about the improvement that I was going to make. I forgot to change the verses at the top to 57. Okay, pretend like you didn't see anything. We're good. I'm going to center it a little bit. There we go. We're done. Okay. Now, starting at verse 41. So Pharaoh said to Joseph, I hereby put you in charge of the whole land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh took his signet ring from his finger and put it on Joseph's finger. He dressed him in robes of fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck. He had him ride in a chariot as his second in command, and people shouted before him, Make way! Thus he put him in charge of the whole land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, I am Pharaoh, but without your word no one will lift hand or foot in all Egypt. Pharaoh gave Joseph the name Zephanath-Paneah. Zephanath-Paneah. All right. And gave him Asenath, daughter of Potiphera, priest of On, to be his wife. So is that just Potiphar but with an A? Interesting. And Joseph went throughout the land of Egypt. Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from Pharaoh's presence and traveled throughout Egypt. During the 7 years of abundance, the land produced plentifully. Joseph collected all the food produced in those 7 years of abundance in Egypt and stored it in the cities. In each city he put the food grown in the fields surrounding it. Joseph stored up huge quantities of grain, like the sand of the sea. It was so much that he stopped keeping records because it was beyond measure. Before the years of famine came, 2 sons were born to Joseph by Asenath, daughter of Potiphera, priest of On. Joseph named his firstborn Manasseh, and said, It is because God has made me forget all my trouble and all my father's household. The second son he named Ephraim, and said, It is because God has made me fruitful in the land of my suffering. The 7 years of abundance in Egypt came to an end, and the 7 years of famine began, just as Joseph had said. There was famine in all the other lands, but in the whole land of Egypt there was food. When all Egypt began to feel the famine, the people cried to Pharaoh for food. Then Pharaoh told all the Egyptians, Go to Joseph and do what he tells you. When the famine had spread over the whole country, Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold grain to the Egyptians, for the famine was severe throughout Egypt. And all the world came to Egypt to buy grain from Joseph, because the famine was severe everywhere. Now at this time, the whole world was probably not very big. We had people spread out from the Tower of Babel, but, I don't think they're crossing oceans yet. So all of North America, South America, maybe they went up to oh boy, now I'm going to really feel embarrassed. The North Pole, And obviously, South Pole can't. I don't think they would have reached that yet, but maybe. Who knows? So I don't believe the world was very big at this time. So when it says the whole world, it was maybe, you know, focused around the Middle East, a little bit more spread out, maybe towards Asia, or maybe a little bit more north towards Europe and Russia. I don't know. Another thing that I noticed, I think the difference between the Bible and the movie, just so I can get it straight, because a lot of times I tend to remember movies instead of books. I'm terrible with that with Harry Potter. I always remember the movie version of things and not the book version of things. And then I just think I remember certain things and they don't happen in either. So that's just, you know, I go crazy a little bit. But I think one of the differences I noticed in this was where he stored the grain, because it said that he stored it in the cities. Oh, yeah, verse 48. And stored it in the cities. In the movie, I think it's just like a bunch of like big storage facilities that are all like lined up next to each other. And it didn't look like they were in the middle of a city, but I don't know, it might be what they meant. But that was a little bit of a difference. I like the names that he gives his sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And Aseneth is his wife. That Pharaoh, excuse me, that Pharaoh gave him. Yeah. So let me know what you think about the change. I'm glad I'm actually looking at you guys while talking instead of looking down. Sorry it took me so long to think about that. Almost the whole book of Genesis, you're going to be looking at my weirdly shaped head instead of my weirdly shaped face. I hope everybody's having a good Sunday. I'll probably be in church in a couple hours. And, yeah. We'll see how everything keeps going with Joseph after this. All right. Have a good rest of your weekend. Hope it finishes out strong so we can get ready to go back to work on Monday. It's so fun. We love Mondays. All right. Have a good day. I'll see you tomorrow.